Join us in today's video and we're going to make a stone oven to cook some wonderful chicken in. This is definitely something I've never tried before. I know the general concept of how to do it. I'm going to use a bunch of these boulder rocks and I'm going to make, or an attempt to make, a stone oven with it. Whole purpose behind this type of oven is that it captures the heat and then slowly releases it. So once I build it, I will then take all the fire out of it and try to cook whatever we're cooking inside it. So we'll see what happens. I think it's going to be pretty difficult to get the proper fit. I might have to change my initial design as we go on and try to make do with what we have, which isn't perfect because these are round boulders from a river. The general concept is coming along. I don't know if I have enough rocks. I might have to go get more, but I need to try to bridge the gap in between that so I can make a roof, so that way the heat will evenly disperse after I light it up. I realized that my initial design is not going to work, so I decided that I'm going to take apart some of these rocks, readjust, and hopefully make a way that these rocks stack on top of each other and make a proper oven. My boys have ran off with my good axe, so I'm using one of theirs. But it's alright, it'll split just the same. I think that's nice about this spruce is that it splits so easily. This birch bark, there's a lot of oils in it. It makes just a tremendous fire starter. This is how to get it started. There's a good amount of wood that can fit in there at once. Made it pretty long. Just want to use a simple match to start the fire. Nothing crazy tonight. But as you can tell, that spruce bark just lights right up. Thing about this is I really don't know how long this takes to warm up for the rocks to get hot enough to release the heat at an appropriate temperature to cook. I've heard, or not heard, but I've seen videos of people making the stone pizza ovens and stuff like that, or the traditional like pioneer homes or pioneer ovens, and they preheat them for hours, but it's a whole day of them cooking. They'll cook for or they'll heat the oven for several hours and they'll use it to cook the whole day's meals. So with this, I'm not really sure how long it's going to take. It's already 7:10, just about 7:10. I mean, I got plenty of daylight. I can stay as long as I need to get it to cook, to heat up properly. Not totally sure how I'm going to figure out how hot it is. I could use the method where you put your hand in, like on top of the flame, or charcoal or coals when you're cooking, to kind of figure out how hot it is. I could probably do something similar to that. I also don't know if these rocks are going to break. From the best of my knowledge, they're granite. I'm not totally sure if granite cracks under heat, so that's why I'm trying to heat it up slowly. It's possible, but we'll just watch it and see what happens. Simple things like being able to make an earth oven or a rock oven or something like that, to be able to build a fire with a little bit amount of fuel and let that capture the heat in the rocks and then slowly disperse it and cook throughout the day. It's something that used to be quite common, but now is pretty rare. It's not needed right now, fortunately, but you never know what could happen, and being able to challenge yourself to be able to make a small rock oven to see if you can cook. Something that wouldn't hurt to try. I just heard a little rock crack. So, like I said before, I don't really know if these are the right type of rocks to use. And again, this is why we practice. I know that I have some pieces of granite, but I'm not sure if they're all granite. And some of the granite that I do have, has cracks in it from, looks like different sediments maybe, like different lines in it. I don't know what causes that. I'm not a geologist. But this might be a total failure. It might work. I have no idea. And it might be too close. I really don't know. I would prefer not to get hit in the face with a large piece of hot rock, but we don't know, or I don't know what's going to happen. But I guess we'll find out. I'm trying to film in between the bush plains. It's kind of difficult since I live in Alaska. But there's an example of how this rock is flaking apart. Hear it cracking. I don't think this is going to work. It's possible. I'm not really sure what other rock I should use. I thought granite would be a suitable rock. But then again, maybe this isn't granite. I don't know. I know this white rock down here, that's definitely granite. I thought this black rock here was granite also, but maybe it's not. Or maybe it's just too thin, I don't know. All right, so most of the rocks are pretty warm. These big ones aren't as warm as they probably could be, but it's 9 o'clock and I'm ready to eat. So what I'm gonna do now is pull the fire out of these ovens, because these ovens aren't made to cook with the wood inside. I'm just gonna drag this away. From my understanding, you want to do it if the coals are decent, so that way we know it's nice and hot in there. So there's some residual ones in there, which is not a big deal. And I have some nice smoke now. Help keep away those mosquitoes. All right. So this is what it looks like inside. And what I'm gonna do next, and I don't know if this part's necessary. I saw them do it when they made bread, and I think that it needed to stay kind of moist inside. But they just got a wet towel and they brushed the rock like so. And it also gets some of the ash out, but I'm not so worried about the ash. So I'm gonna do the hand test, see how warm it is. It's pretty warm. I couldn't keep my hand in much longer, so it's probably actually a little bit too warm, but we'll see how it is. And to put them on there, I'm gonna use a spatula. I'll burn my hand. If I hear them sizzling. Definitely cooking. So now, last thing I'm going to do is seal it up. All right, so this is how I'm going to cook it now. So there's no fire in there. Fire's out. It's over there. And it's just the residual heat coming off the rocks that's cooking the chicken. You can see them in there cooking. I'm just going to keep an eye on it now and see kind of how long it needs to cook. I'm not totally sure. After probably about 20 minutes, I'll check it, see how they look, and if I need more time, I'll add more time. If I don't, I'll eat it. So I'm looking forward to it. And don't worry, it's rained about 100 times this year, so this ground's really wet, so the likelihood of a fire is going to be pretty low. Plus, I'll make sure it's all put away. Well, I nearly had a catastrophic mistake. As I was putting my oven door back up, I pushed too hard on this stone, and then it made this one fall off. Luckily, I was able to catch it, and now I'm using a piece of wood to prop it up to try to prevent it from happening. It's been about 20 minutes now. I'm gonna take this door back off. I put a little thermostat in there, to a thermometer to see how warm it is, and it's only showing about 200 degrees, so this chicken's probably nowhere near done. And wow, I'm surprised. I don't know if we can see that. It's showing it's at about 150 degrees right now. and it's only showing it's about 200 degrees on that little thermostat. So I'm really surprised. It's almost done. No, that rock was pretty warm underneath it. So I bet the rock mostly cooked it. Kind of like you would with a hot rock in a fire. If this was I could make this a lot better by filling up some of these gaps with moss. They got plenty of moss around the woods. Could get some. But if I was filling up all these gaps, I'm sure it'd cook a lot better. My rice is done. I'm just waiting for everything else to be finished, and that's a nice little warming platform. But yeah, if I filled up all these cracks and gaps like this, you can see all the way through, it would really hold the heat in, and it would make a big difference, I'm sure. But we'll give this about another 20 minutes, or probably not even that, 10 minutes, and should be ready to eat. All right. Well, I guess I'll start with these two first. Hot. All right, well, this is it. I got some chicken, got some rice. Took about 45 minutes to cook. So, rice was good, but rice is always good. Got lots of mosquitoes. There's a little bit of a crunch. The bottom looks really good. Really like that. Oh, that's really hot. Gosh dang, burnt my mouth. Oh, definitely know it's done. So, I guess the question is, why would you do this? Why would it be beneficial? It took about probably close to 3 hours, I guess, to cook. Well, to preheat and cook. This definitely isn't faster. Not faster at all. But the reason why we'd want to do something like this is the amount of wood that it took was very minimal. I burnt maybe a whole round. And for people who don't understand what that means, a round of a log or whatever, it's about this big. And I cut mine about 24 inches, 18 to 24 inches long. These were about 18 inches so that they would fit in there. And so I just split that up into small pieces, and I put it in there so that it would heat up the rocks and cook my food. So this method requires a very little amount of wood compared to doing a traditional fire. Another reason why this method's good is that you don't have to cook just one thing at a time. So as you start cooking and your heat starts decreasing, you can do other things. In the old days, they would do this type of thing. They'd cook bread, and then they would cook their beans. They would let their beans sit all day because as it got cooler, it took longer to cook, but it was always ready and nice and warm by the time it was dinner time. Ultimately, I say this is really, it's a success. It took a long time, but most of that time was building it. Or no, sorry, most of that time was just it heating up. If I was going to do something while I was letting it heat up, like build a shelter or hunt for food, then you know your chicken or your food or whatever is safe, it's cooking, it's baking. A bear could still get to it, but besides that, not much is going to go after it. Perfectly cooked chicken, though. Very happy the way this came out. I mean, honestly, the chicken's cooked perfect. There's just enough heat left that I could probably cook something else if I wanted to, but it would take a long time. I really didn't let it heat up that much, to be honest. If I wanted to heat it up where these rocks on the outside were hot to the touch, it would last much longer. Right now they're just warm to the touch, and some of them are hot. The one that I cooked on, that rock's still really hot. I bet mostly it just cooked because I got that bottom rock so hot. There's still a nice crispy skin. The chicken looks wonderful. It's wonderfully cooked. It's a really simple method, really. I would definitely do it again. I'm gonna have it up here so I don't have to take it apart. So when my kids get back from vacation, right now they're with my wife in Missouri visiting our family. Once they get back, I'm sure they're gonna want to play with this. If you like this, go ahead and subscribe, and you can follow us and you can see us do more things similar to this. It's salmon season right now, so all the salmon are everywhere. So I'll be hitting the rivers pretty hard to try to fill a freezer full of salmon. And then in August, I'm planning on doing a float hunt for some moose with a bow. So that's another thing I'm looking forward to, and I got family coming up